Welcome back to Point of Focus, and today with me in studio we have two young teenagers, Miss Raquel Berson and Mr. Joshua Constantine. Hi guys,
Hi.
nice to have you on the show today.
Nice to meet you. It's my pleasure.
Yes, and I mean from our conversation on the
cool.
outside, I really like what you guys are doing though in terms of representing your school and young people and debating.
Of course.
You know, a very nice, something I always wanted to do, but I'm not your age anymore. But you know, Raquel, can you tell us a bit about yourself, the school you attend, and what you're really into?
Well, my name is, we already know my name is Raquel, and I attend Holy Faith Convent in Cuba. I'm aspiring to be a lawyer, and hopefully later on a politician.
I'm Joshua Constantine. I attend Trinity College in Mocha. I'm at Form 6 right now. I aspire to be an economist and maybe politics in the future.
Oh, very ambitious, guys. That's great visions that both of you have.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's get into it. Before you guys came on, my guests, we spoke on bullying.
Yeah.
And bullying is a very important topic. It's it's the number one issue that our schools are facing currently in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, each country is different in the Caribbean in terms of the issues they face.
Yeah.
So, you know, tell me a bit in terms of before we get into bullying, I'd like to know, and our viewers as well, you know, more of the debate and the styles and, you know, how it has been your experience. Raquel?
Well, my first time debating, I guess I was a bit nervous, but I was very prepared. And the funny thing is that we actually met
Yeah.
at a debate, and the night before I was looking at the debates on the internet. I googled RST debates and I saw him and his debating partner Joshua Phillip, and I was like, oh my gosh, they are so good, I'm so nervous. And then on the day we actually met and spoke, and you know, I realized that they weren't as good as we were.
Joshua, she's
kidding.
giving you some
Yeah,
competition.
I know, I know.
Just kidding.
What your experience has been like, Joshua?
For debating, for me, it was very outstanding. I loved it. I actually grew a love and a passion for debating because I never knew that I actually had the ability. Because you know, you try it out in school,
Yeah.
the teacher would see things like, you can debate. And he just pulled this in. And actually, that debate was actually my first real official debate, and that's where Trinity won. And I think that's where we met her again. And it's something that really opened my eyes to more of the events that goes on in Trinidad and the social problems and the issues that we face, especially as young people. And it's that outlet that we can use to really vent and talk about issues that really impact us.
And I'm guessing you're very vocal in your classroom for your teacher to
And
identify
I
you.
believe that debates and doing debates has helped us with a lot of different subjects, especially writing the speeches and gathering the information. And not only that, we actually learn a lot about, as he said, the different social issues, you know.
So tell me your thoughts on bullying. How do you see bullying? Raquel, I'll ask you, especially from your point of view at Holy Faith Convent.
Well, bullying in my school isn't very as bad as in other schools. I mean, every school has some form of bullying, but I don't believe it's as violent in my schools. But I think it's a very, very pressing issue in schools right now, and I don't think that people take it as serious as it should be taken. And you realize that all these criminals and people who abuse their wives or these rapists and whatever, they don't just get up one morning and say, you know, well, I want to rape somebody or I want to be a killer. You know, it starts from at a very young age. And there are actually statistics that show that bullies at a very young age, I think it was, if I try to remember, 65% of bullies end up being child abusers, rapists, criminals later on. So I think it's an issue that we really need to deal with.
So what you're saying is that bullying affects the outcome of an adult.
Yes.
Yes.
Both the victim and the person, the bully itself. And the victim themselves, not only the bully is the one being affected, the victim themselves, you see that they later on grow up with this hate in themselves, and even some of them even become criminals.
Sure.
And Joshua, what about you? How popular are the victims and are there bullies as well in your school?
Well, Trinity College, our school has a small population, and it's like a little family, I should say. But I can say that bullying is not exempted from any school. it happens. It doesn't always manifest itself with it being the physical. It can happen psychologically. It can even happen on the internet. And I know I have seen it firsthand. And in agreeing what she says, it really starts with the individual. And it's something on the mind. It's a mind activity, and then it translates itself through physical activity or even through verbal, non-verbal activity. And it has been seen that bullying is a social epidemic, especially among teens, and it has plagued society for many years.
Yes.
And but in my school, I have not seen that much bullying. I know there I saw it firsthand. But bullying, it really affects an individual, especially their esteem. And sometimes you reach to the point where it climaxes into some serious issues at school, whether it be school violence, or injury. And I was reading an article, and it says that it's a truism that young people at our age, we learn by example. So what we see at home, or what we view at home, what we experience at home, we take it into our schools, and we express it on other students, because you don't know what the mindset of the person might be at the time, what they are going through, and that's where bullying it just comes in.
Yes, but what do you think, how do you think it looks at from the point of view of a bystander, looking into a situation where someone is being bullied?
I don't think that the bystanders on a whole really understand that how difficult the situation is and how much it could affect both parties. And you realize that in more prestigious schools, you hardly see violence in terms of it being physical, and it's more like psychological bullying. And that's also very dangerous because it messes with the person's mind, and later on it leads to a lot of different other things.
But do you believe that based on a person, now there have been, controversial, I should say, statements with regards to people who come from broken homes being bullies, as opposed to those who come from a well home, a regular, two parents, nice family, they get anything that they want. Do you think there's a difference?
Well, I don't want to label anybody, but kids, young children, young adults, teenagers, they tend to, mirror what they see. They're influenced by actions of older people. So if they come from a home where they see violence, they tend to manifest that into their own physical violence. They think that that's how you deal with situations. And you spoke about broken homes. Like we said, it's also a mind thing. So if you come from a broken home, you're also being psychologically affected. So,
So therefore you don't believe that being part of a home where, your parents give you everything you want, they are good to you, you cannot be a bully?
No, I don't basically believe that. I would say that if you are given some sense of freedom to do whatever you want, and
so it is possible.
It is possible because even we talk about people from broken homes who produce a lot of bullies, but then in broken homes you might find there are a lot of physical. They might beat them more, whereas in more prestigious people of a higher standard of living, the bullying might be different, where they might more speak to them instead of hitting out at them. And that they would take that and they would basically go in school and they would use words to bully persons instead of maybe using force or something like that. But if I would say it is possible. It is possible because I'd say it starts with the mind. It starts with the mind. The person might be going through a specific problem, and you don't know that way how they feel. They want to express it and they want to take it out on persons, and they could use it either through force or through speaking or words.
And I think that speaking words, psychological bullying, is even worse.
More traumatic, yeah.
Yeah, because it really traumatizes the person and it affects your brain a lot.
So now let's look at the ripple effect of traumatized bullying.
Wow.
And I think it's a lot. It's a lot. You have a lot. From being bullied, you can turn to drugs, you can turn to suicide. There are different routes you can take. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that because of bullying...
Being bullied?
Yes, from being bullied, seeing that that's currently number one in our schools. Do you think it's one of the major reasons so many of our students are depressed?
Yeah, and
I would say so.
they end up with a low self-esteem.
As we know.
And that having a low self-esteem leads to a lot of other issues. That leads to teenage pregnancy, drugs,
Yeah, I would say it affects because when somebody is bullied, and say it affects the esteem, it affects your thought, it affects your confidence, and then you would find yourself looking for some sort of comfort. And students would find comfort in various outlets, whether it be drugs, whether it be school gangs, and they would feel, they would get comfortable, they would get comforted, and they might be accepted. And school gangs can lead to school violence, injuries, to the point where persons can be killed, where there's fighting.
Or later even turn into criminals.
Criminal offenses. And I would say that bullying, the ripple effect, it is devastating to a point. Even suicide. Students may, as I said, it affects the esteem. So when you go about every day thinking that coming to school, this person is going to tell me this, I'm not worth this, I can't do this.
You start questioning
you start
yourself.
questioning yourself and your ability to do stuff. So that you would see it might affect the grades also, because you might, this person, if I just put up my hand and ask a question, you're going to call me stupid, you're going to call me dunce or something like that, and that would affect the grade, and that might be their moments of learning something that they could maybe put in an exam and get an extra five marks or something like that.
And that's a very important point that you raised,
There was a situation, I can't remember when it was, but a couple of years ago, I think it was in the US, this young man, he bombed up this school, and then was trying to figure out what was the reason for doing it, and later on, his parents end up coming to the front and say that what happened was, at a young age, he was bullied a lot, psychologically, physically.
Yeah, and also
So that was one of the effects of
That's one of
it.
the
Yes.
effects.
Even so, I read in an article in the Express by Mark Fraser, and he said that children who are bullied home become bullied in school. As I said, we mirror what we
Yes.
learn at home, because that shapes our character. It influences us to the highest degree, because we want to be like our parents. We learn from our parents. See, we learn from the things they do
That's
to
what
us.
we see.
And it comes back to role models again.
Role
right?
models again.
So, okay, you mentioned some very important points, both of you, in terms of bullying and the ripple effects. And one of the major points that you mentioned, Joshua, was suicide. That, sometimes it can lead to that because you're so depressed, you're so frustrated, and you want a way out. And I think most times being a victim of one of these issues, you're always looking for an escape, right? And that's very important, especially to our young people. Because now everything is at the tip of their fingertips.
Yeah,
But you know what? I'd like you to ponder on that though, because we look at suicide, we have teenage pregnancy, as you stated before, Raquel, and many others that stem from this. But I'd like us to get into deep discussion. How do you see it through your eyes as young teenagers? Because you're in the environment every day, you're among teenagers, you're among your social partners as well. And there are issues that you see and things that you face that even adults may not be able to understand. So let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll look at these issues and what our teenagers are currently going through within our nation. You're watching Point of Focus, and we'll be right back.